Coming up, reliving the good times. It's a look back at the highs and lows of the first season of B Squared. It's a walk down memory lane, and it all starts right now. Well, what a time it's been, hadn't it? It's hard to believe it's already been a year since we broke ground on our first episode. And we've come a long way since then, hadn't we? Along the way, we've had guests, we've had good times, and we've even tried to solve a real problem or two. So what's the view from a year later? Come along with me as we take a look back at some of the best and worst moments from the season. So when I think back to the pilot, to say it got off to a rough start would be a bit of an understatement. Seriously, I wish you could see how many video files there are from those first 2 days of shooting. And the finished product was maybe 11, 12 minutes long, right? In order to get enough takes to do a cohesive product, it took me 2 full days to shoot. And when I say full days, I mean like 8 or 9 hours each day. So imagine all that time just to get 11 minutes worth of usable footage. That's not exactly a fantastic start. In fact, it's rather ignominious, but what do you want from a pilot episode? All I can say is I didn't really know what I was doing when I first got started, but the intent was always to refine my approach and make things better as I went. So, I still laugh at how horrendously some of those takes came out. Let's take a look. Coming up, the best retro gaming device you've never heard of. Explore. But at the end of each video, I'm going to turn to the camera and say, that's what I think. What do you think? Drop a comment below and let's chat. What this ultimately becomes depends entirely on you, the viewers. At the end of each episode, I'll turn to the camera and say, that's what I think. What do you think? What do you want to see? Let me know your thoughts, and this can easily be... Leave a comment below and let's chat. I'll turn to the camera. At the end of each episode, I'll turn to the camera and say, that's what I think. At the end of each episode, I'll turn to the camera and say, that's what I think. What do you think? Now before we go on, I'd like to take a minute to... That's what I think. But what do you think? Leave a comment below and let's chat. What do you think about what you see and hear? Tell me what you want. Now before we go on, I'd like to take a minute to acknowledge some of my favorite YouTube creators for giving me the motivation and inspiration to... Big shoutouts to LGR, DGR, Leto's Law, Louis Rossman, Schrodinger's Cat, Tow Trucker. Now before we go on, I'd like to take a minute to acknowledge some of my YouTube creators for giving me the courage. And now, without further ado, let's dive right into our first bit of content. Schrodinger's Cat, Tow Trucker, among many others. You guys are why... You guys and gals keep up the great work. If you haven't, Schrodinger's Cat, Tow Trucker, among many, many others, and many, many others. Guys, you guys and gals keep up the good work. Go give them a sub, and I'm sure they'd appreciate it. Tell them Brandon sent you. And now, without further ado, Schrodinger's Cat, Tow Trucker, and many, many others who I couldn't name. You guys and gals keep up the good work. And now, without further ado, let's have a look at the first item up for... Big shoutouts to DGR, Freakin' Geek, Leto's Law, LGR, Schrodinger's Cat. I miss Louis Rossman. Now before we go on, I'd like to take a minute to acknowledge some of my favorite YouTube creators for giving me the courage and inspiration to give this a go. Big shoutouts to DGR, Freakin' Geek, Leto's Law, LGR, Louis Rossman, Schrodinger's Cat, and Tow Trucker, among many others. You guys and gals keep up the great work. Now to my viewers, after you like and subscribe here, go and have a look at those other channels and give them a like and subscribe as well. I promise you won't be disappointed, and I know they'd appreciate it as well. And now, without further ado, let's have a look at our first bit of content. And on we went. I did a couple more episodes on my own, one an episode on gaming and one a product review, and I gotta say, that product review gave me an opportunity, by which I mean flimsy excuse, to do something I'd wanted to do for a long time, but just never had an excuse to take on, and that's to recreate the opening animation from 1994's New Price is Right with Doug Davidson. Matter of fact, a lot of the fun from that episode was pulling together the comparison of all the different sound systems. Let's take a look. The sad truth is, a lot of people in the present day are only interested in the lower frequencies, which is where bass comes from, but you'd be surprised how many of these bass-heavy systems actually make the classic Price is Right theme sound terrible. The reason is, these ultra-bass systems tend to scrimp on the higher frequencies, and parts of the old theme actually sound like they're coming from underwater. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. Before we go on, I want to let you hear how it sounds from a couple of different sound systems, including the Titans, so you can hear the differences for yourself. You might want to use earbuds for this part if you're not already. Here we go. Ed Kalehoff, come on down! See what I mean? It's the exact same piece of music, but no two sets of speakers expressed it the same way. It's like I said before, some are just better than others. So for the first few episodes, I just did content on my own and talked about whatever caught my interest, and it was fun. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. Then I saw someone having guests on their show, and it looked like that would be fun too, so I figured out the technical aspects, and off we went. I started with fellow creator Kfar, who at that point I didn't really know. I basically cold called him and brought him on. We had some good times, including a moment that was completely unscripted. Take a look. Many kudos to you for surviving it.
Yeah, it took a lot out of me. Gave up my knees and my back.
I hear that a lot. But hey, you were within spitting distance of the Enterprise at one point, if memory serves, right?
I was indeed.
There you go.
Yes, indeed.
And I've got to add, the Trekkie in me has to ask, is it as impressive looking in person as it was in Star Trek 4? No? No. They always hype things up for the movies. So before we go on, our broadcast tonight is made possible by our friends at Riverside FM. When you need a studio quality podcast, Riverside's the place to go. Record audio and video from participants individually, then mix together in the editor of your choice, and wind up with the podcast of your dreams. Riverside. Better than pod people, they're the podcast people. All right. I'd be lying if I said that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Thank you. I thought that one up about a half hour ago, and, you know, you'd only get so many opportunities in life to say something like, better than pod people, they're the podcast people. And probably the only way I'm ever going to get away with that is that they are not sponsoring this video. I shudder to think what copy they would have given me if they were. Probably the episode I'm most pleased we got to do is episode 10, when a lemon law attorney from Michigan stopped by to share some important details about buying and selling used cars, and boats, and don't even get them started on RVs. I'm not ashamed to say, I was nervous. I mean, here was this guy with a super successful channel, and he was on my show, and I swear you can see that in the final product. I was stuttering, I was stumbling, I was awkward, and I wound up having to do the intro more than once. What can I say? When you get someone like Steve Leto on your channel, you want to impress them. Turns out, he wound up giving me encouragement. Let's take a look. When you have questions, chances are you're not alone. Lots of people could be asking the same question. Well, today we have a special guest who never mind, I'll just use take one.
The first one worked.
First one worked. Like I said, I'm OCD, and I do voiceovers as part of my job, and I'll spend like 30 minutes on one line. It murders my voice. So, all right. So Steve, as I'm intimated, brings us a list of the most common questions that he's seen over time.
Then neither of us can have any fun.
Yeah, I could say something about suing people for fun, but that's not all attorneys are like that. So tell us a little bit about Leto's Law. Thank you very much for being here today and for sharing everything with us. Very, very productive conversation, and as always, I appreciate the humor that you bring to it as well.
Anytime, you're welcome.
Yes, sir. For more from Steve Leto, make sure you subscribe to his channel. Leto's Law is the name of his show. Just search for Steve Leto, and that'll be the place. Pretty sure he's the only one. I think you're the only one. So, no, that'll be a very awkward pause that I'll have to edit out. Let me do that again. For more from Steve Leto, make sure to like and subscribe to his channel. Search Steve Leto. The name of his show is Leto's Law. As I said before, you like and subscribe, you will not regret it. Steve would appreciate it, and as the guy who's giving him plugs, I'd appreciate it too. Remember, tell him B Squared sent you, so he has a reason to be glad he put up with all my nonsense today. And I couldn't talk about having guests on B2 without giving special mention to the whole reason I started having guests in the first place, and that's our guest from episode 9, the amazing Danny Reardon. True story. One day when I was trying to come up with some fresh content for the show, a video of hers popped up in my YouTube feed, and it looked to me like she and her guest were having a good discussion and a good time, and I thought it would probably be easier to edit than trying to do everything by myself. So I reached out to her and invited her to come on, and realistically, I expected not to hear back. Let's face it, it happens. But then something pretty amazing happened. She wrote back and agreed to come on, and the result was a phenomenal episode full of laughs, motivational quotes, inspirational stories, and a whole lot more. So Danny, if you're out there watching, want to say a big thank you for coming on and encouraging me to try big things, even if they're scary. All right, here we go. Coming up, looking to make changes in your life but not sure where to get started? I know just the person to ask. A special Ask the Expert edition of B Squared starts right now. Ask the Expert. I'd like to claim creativity, but no, that comes to us courtesy of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So,
Cool.
Maybe I should have mentioned I'm a nerd.
That's totally fine. I'm a fan of nerds.
There we go. Well, like I said, you're on the right channel for sure. So, all right, now comes the hard part. I think I still remember the first post that you shared, and I saw the word insurance in it, and I'm like, has this account been hacked or something? It was just such a sudden shift. I was like, this can't be legit. But tell us what happened when dawn finally broke for you.
Yes, dawn broke. We moved to Colorado. So this was us moving from Florida to Colorado. So we had a big, huge change going from one state to the other.
Let me ask you the $1 million question. Are you happy?
Yes.
I figured the answer would be yes, but I want to spell things out for my audience, and yes. That's good. So
to feel the fear, do it afraid.
Do it afraid. Do it afraid.
Do it
okay.
afraid. And if we get comfortable expanding and getting uncomfortable, then there's no pain in that anymore. It's almost fun and curious and exciting to keep spreading our wings and to keep growing our bubble. And yeah.
And once again, I swear on everything I own, including my Campbell University lapel pin, I did not give Danny any talking points or anything. And she's making 100% sense. And I love that.
Start before you're ready. Jump in, learn the lessons. People wait way too long till they have everything in perfect alignment before they start something new. Totally 1000 billion% start before you're ready, mess up on purpose. Well, not on purpose, but mess up and lean into the mistakes, lean into the failure, because you will grow into whatever it is that you're starting that's new. One of my favorite things, and even my husband and I say this too, is we'll grow into it. He started a new job. I started this coaching thing. We'll grow into it. And we always do. If we plant the seed and keep watering it, we will grow into it. So 1000% start before you're ready. You will grow your wings on the way down.
Until next time, this is Brandon Bridges reminding you the best way to be is B squared. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Not exactly an inspired slogan, but my initials, Brandon Bridges, B squared. Yeah.
Love it.
You take your bits of inspiration where you get it. So,
I love B squared. I think it's great.
Thank you. So tell me honestly, did you have a good time? Do you have a good time doing this?
I loved it. So fun. I love talking about this stuff, and you pulled some really cool stuff out of me, and I feel really lit up right now. So, yeah, I feel great. Thank you. Did you have a good time?
I did. I like that you make me think, and the fact that a lot of what you said was triggering things in my mind. Like, I recognize this, and I've expressed it like this. So along with all the great moments and great lines, now and again, we did have some technical issues. Now, I know some other channels like to leave in their technical mishaps for entertainment value, but the reality is that's not me. I like to have a polished and smooth presentation and save all the technical outtakes for episodes like this one. So the first time we really had technical problems was episode 15, our look at empathy and problem solving. The guest was a friend of mine, and due to some problems with her internet, her connection dropped out a couple of times. On air, you don't see any of it because I did some quick retakes and edited everything together so that you'd never know. But not so much while we were actually shooting. Take a look. It does, and that was a terrific answer. So, to borrow a term that you used earlier, authenticity.
Did I lose you?
No, didn't lose me. Did I lose you?
Oh no.
Did we lose each other?
Our chats with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have got to have you back. We have absolutely got to have you back.
I'd love to. I'd love it. This is great. You know, and hopefully I'll get my internet set up a little bit stronger.
Yeah, and so
unlikely given my technology skills or lack thereof.
You can take it from one who is surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 computers, 7 if you count my cell phone. You can be the most proficient technologist and still have problems. There's a reason why I have that gigantic bottle of Excedrin over there. So, and
I feel like I need the Excedrin just listening to the story about 7 screens. Hi!
Hello!
Holy cow, we're back.
Say it with me. Say it with me. That's why we love technology.
Yay! Yay, computers! Where did we leave off?
I have no idea. You had just said, I hope that answers your question, and I was right in the middle of saying that was a terrific answer. Now if I could just remember what the question was.
So the question was...
So what I'll do is, we'll give it maybe 30 more minutes or so, and then I'll say something like, that's all the time we have, and then I'll pass it back to you for, whatever final thoughts you want to wrap with, and we'll just have a final word, and then I'll do the outro, and that'll be that. Tell me I lost you. I think I lost you. I think the feed cut out again. Just having the worst of luck. There we go.
We're back.
It wouldn't be technology without technical difficulties.
Right?
You know, that's why we love technology. We'll just have a final word, and then I'll do the outro, and that'll be that. Don't tell me I lost you. I think I lost you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I feel like I don't want to move or breathe or do anything.
Doesn't it take you back to the 80s and 90s in the days of the rabbit ears when you finally got a clear picture and you didn't want to move?
Yes, that's exactly what this reminds me of. Or like, you know, when you were downloading from LimeWire, I don't know if you did that. But where it was like you finally got on a good roll, and then you're like, okay, maybe if I don't like bump anything, it'll it'll finish.
Man, LimeWire and Napster take me back.
Right? We have aged ourselves. Cheers to that.
We sure have. But hey, those were the shiz back in the day. What we said in the 90s? That was the shiz?
Sure!
If not, then I just dated myself even worse than a kid of the 90s.
I don't know if that one ever came out of my mouth, but definitely something around the same lines for sure.
I may have said that once or twice or more than that.
So you folks at home saw a polished, clean-looking, professionally edited episode for this installment of B Squared. Not so when we were making it. So this is the power of positive editing. So we experienced our own flavor of technical difficulties earlier. We had some connection issues, and you know, things happen when you're using technology. That's all I can say. But the power of positive editing compels you. Isn't that the movie quote?
I will stand by that.
And Jill was a trooper. She was very patient through it all, and you know, you would never guess that we'd had those kinds of problems. But you know, Jill was a trooper, and I cannot thank you enough for just being patient and working through it with us. So, yeah.
Hey, you know what? This has been so much fun. I mean, why would you get irritated, right?
Exactly.
It's a blast. It's a blast talking with you, and thank you.
The technical difficulties did come back to haunt us more than once after that. A problem with Riverside resulted in some of the recordings initially appearing to have been lost. Now eventually they were able to track them all down, but for a couple of days I wondered if we were going to have an episode at all, or if we were going to have to redo everything from the ground up. Well, as we all know, in the end everything worked out just the way it should have. They were able to find all the missing recordings and get them where they were supposed to be, and we wound up with a pretty cool episode, if I do say so myself. And I want to say a big thanks to Jill for being so patient while we figured everything out. So I've saved the best for last, and as it turns out, some of the best moments from B2 are the moments when circumstances get the better of me. And when I say circumstances, I mean my own inability to string together a coherent sentence. It's true. A lot of times when you see a finished episode of B2, it looks like everything flows seamlessly from one moment to the next. But more often than not, what you're actually seeing is two different takes spliced together. Let's take a look. So this scene appears to flow naturally between cuts, right? But watch what happens when we add timecode to the image. See how it jumps? A lot of times, material gets cut for one reason or another, most often because I slipped up somehow, and when that happens, it can be a challenge to splice together the remaining footage to make for a seamless transition. And the open Pandora stuck out. And the open Pandora stuck out. Why am I saying stuck out? Now, as you can see, well, there you go. When you flip it open, it'll stay where you put it until you... One of the first things you'll notice when you do load a game is how bright and clear the screen is. You can see here how... And with that said, like I said, Danny puts... I can't even talk. Like I said earlier, let me try that again. And with all that said, like I said before, Danny puts together some good content, so if you're interested, go like and subscribe to her channel and make sure you hit the notification bell so you never miss it when she puts out some new content. I know what I want to say, but right as I went to reach for the words, they failed me. That's what life can be like when you're a one-person caster, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so let me try that whole soliloquy again. And with that said, like I said before, Danny tends to put together some great content, so make sure you go and subscribe to her channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell while you're there so you never miss any new content that she puts out. And by the way, tell her B Squared sent you. That way she has a reason to put up with all of my nonsense today. Well, just so you're prepared, when you get to be as old as I am, your memory will start to fail you, so just a heads up.
I think I am older than you. They need to breathe. Get them on a shelf.
I know. I clearly need to build up my self-esteem in order to reach that point, but...
Oh, it's gonna be a long afternoon.
Hashtag never gonna grow up.
There we go. I support that wholeheartedly.
Nice. See, I'm gonna go back to work tomorrow and I'm gonna tell him, I am not alone. I am not alone. Of course, being me, I did the only thing I know how to do. I invited her to join us on the show and gathered See? It happens. So there you have it. Some of the highs and lows of the first season of B Squared. We've had some great times, and yeah, we've had some challenges along the way too, but overall, I am very proud of everything that we've done. We've had everything from technology to current events to product reviews, the list just goes on. Of it all, what I'm most proud of is episode 18. It's a perfect example of what B2 is all about. Bringing people together from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, and having conversations that matter. And it doesn't hurt that we were trying to help solve an actual problem at the same time. That's all for now, but as always, thanks for watching, and remember, the best way to be is B Squared. Till next time, I'm Brandon Bridges. Bye-bye, everybody. Yay, I'm happy.